with her. Part 2. Victimhood. Now, if you're a liberal, or you're further right-wing than that, you might be saying, hang on a minute, you leftists can't claim to have a monopoly on vulnerability, and you certainly can't claim to have a monopoly on love. Let's take an extreme example, just to prove the point, okay? The loyal white knights of the KKK. Very, very right-wing. But they say on their website how they love the white race, and how we are vulnerable to society being attacked by homosexuals and drug addicts and Jews. And I bet that in their private lives, they probably love their mums as well. Even Hitler had a mother, even Adolf had a mother. But in her book, The Cultural Politics of Emotion, scholar Sarah Ahmed dissects the kind of love that hate groups claim to have, and says that to say we love our people and mean only white people is to say, I love you as long as you're strong in the same ways as I think of strong. So white, probably Christian, probably not LGBT, certainly not too poor. It's I love you so long as you reflect me. It's the love of the self, narcissism really, projected outwards. It's not the kind of love that says, I love you, vulnerabilities and all. The idea that those on the right are under some kind of attack from minorities or diversity or feminism or whatever has been around for millennia, literally. In her book Backlash, scholar Susan Faludi gives a history not of feminist progress, but of all the times progress has been undone by a backlash. And she reveals that the arguments the right wing have made have scarcely changed in thousands of years. There's this great bit where she talks about Roman lawmakers getting really angry when women were allowed to drive chariots for the first time. And they said, women are taking over men's spaces. This in a society where women weren't even allowed to vote. And people still make that same women taking over men's spaces argument today about everything from politics to video games. What Ahmed and Faludi illustrate is that communities of strength sometimes attempt a version of vulnerability, but it comes out wrong, because true vulnerability is just ideologically incompatible. So it emerges as this kind of false victimhood with no real basis in material distributions of money and power. The classic example is white supremacy, which says that white people are naturally superior. But that on its own isn't going to draw a lot of people in because a lot of white people are still miserable because of capitalism. So the white supremacist has to posit this additional ridiculous conspiracy theory about the world secretly being run by Jews in an attempt to keep white people down. I've talked about these myths before in detail if you're curious. That isn't community of vulnerability, that's community of strength trying to explain why it isn't even stronger. Another example might be certain right-wing pundits like, for instance, Tucker Carlson. I'm not trying to preach too much here, whether you're a fan of his or not, whatever you think of Tucker Carlson. He says things like the elites and the ruling class of America, they don't care about the average Joes. But factually, like literally, Tucker Carlson is a millionaire, and he has his own TV show, and he comes from a very, very wealthy family. He is the elites. He is the ruling class. For all those saying that conservatism is the new counterculture and the new punk rock, it's just not on the money, because counterculture has always been about resisting or avoiding domination, not being part of domination's backlash. I mean, sometimes when leftists get together there is a certain amount of domination going on, but that's a totally different thing. And also, in fairness, victimhood and self-pity and making bigger conversations about ourselves aren't exclusive to the right. We can all do it. Feminist scholar Elizabeth Martinez cautions us against the oppression Olympics, where we take a conversation about politics and something that's bigger than ourselves, and we make it about our own oppression and say, oh, I'm oppressed in this way and that counts for more, or this is the most fundamental axis of oppression, or whatever. We don't need more competition among different social groups for the gold medal of most oppressed. We don't need more comparisons of suffering between women and blacks, the disabled and the gay, Latino teenagers and white seniors, or whatever. Pursuing some hierarchy of oppression leads us down dead-end streets where we will never find the linkage between different oppressions and how to overcome them. Vanity is a very pernicious sin. We're all susceptible to it sometimes. I mean, I'm a YouTuber and an actor. I'm as susceptible to vanity as anyone else, more so probably. The idea of the oppression Olympics reminds me of a great phrase that I learned in drama school, which is a little bit of a personal mantra. Curiosity, not ambition. But even as some truly dark things happen in the world, the left is always holding on, and we're starting to gain ground, especially here on YouTube. LeftTube, we're in our ascendancy, and not just liberal tube, LeftTube. Capitalism needs to go tube, we need a whole new philosophy tube. Some people say this is because of trends or algorithms or right-wing creators losing their touch, but I think there's this deeper ideological reason. More and more people are vulnerable, so communities of strength just don't cut it. They never will. The place you want to be is the place where you can be you, unashamedly. Because it's our vulnerabilities that make us beautiful.
There's plenty you can do when you are strong. Plenty that the right does which is wrong. Plenty you can say, but now we're playing another game. It's easy. There's nothing that we have we'll never lose. Nothing that we know we won't confuse. There's nothing I can be that wouldn't be better with you and me. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need.